As always, I'm so happy that you get to spend a little time with me, or I can spend a little time with you, I guess. And thank you. If I don't say thank you enough, I really should. I really appreciate all the kind words you guys say on emails and reviews, and I do appreciate that. And what we're going to talk about today, hopefully, is going to be something that you can use, because about 62% of you are going to need this information, and it's why diets don't work. And if you're like me, I used to be overweight when I was a kid. I was pretty fat, so I can say the F word on the radio. I was pretty fat, and I struggled with my weight. But this is, gosh, in the 70s, I guess. Yeah, early 70s. And the food supply was different than it is now. Because we didn't have things like high fructose corn syrup. We didn't have so much fast food. Every meal I had at my house was made at home. And we went out to dinner once a year on my grandfather's birthday, and he paid. And I always thought that was interesting. I remember being a kid going, why is he paying? It's his birthday. And we went to a German restaurant, and that was pretty much it. And hamburgers, I remember, they were 5-cent hamburgers, a place called Wetson's. Gosh, I don't even know if they're still around or not, but probably not. But it was a different world. It was a very different world, not only in a lifestyle, but also in the food, the quality of the food that we ate and the quantity of the food we ate. And when I wanted to lose weight, I couldn't keep up with my cousins. I had 3 cousins, Johnny, Paulie, and Mikey, and we would play stickball. If you're from New Jersey, you know what that is, or New York. And we would play stickball, and I couldn't catch, and I couldn't run, and I couldn't throw, and I couldn't bat, and it was a big challenge to me. So I said, what can I do now to catch up to them? And one thing, of course, was easily lose weight. So I decided I was going to lose weight, and my little trick, then in my little, 10, 12-year-old mind, was I'm just going to drink a lot of water. Because I figured your stomach needed stuff to go in there, and if I put water in my stomach, well, then I would feel full, and that would be it. Well, little did I know that I was actually doing something that was actually very good for me, and a trick now that I teach my patients on how to lose weight. Because many times, I'll cover this a little later too, when you're hungry, you're not hungry, you're thirsty. Because there's a part of your brain that controls hunger, and there's a part of your brain that controls thirst. And as we get older, those 2 parts of the brain grow together. Now, I say older, I mean like a toddler, infant to a toddler. And so you have a tough time distinguishing between hunger and thirst, and so you want to eat when in reality you're just thirsty, because water doesn't give you a whole lot of pleasure, but food does. And certain foods give you more pleasure than other, like sugars and meats and dairy products, and these are the things that stimulate those pleasure centers in your brain, and you get high. And when you get high, you want to do it again, and that's where the problems come in. So a little trick that I did, unbeknownst to me, was actually something I was messing with my brain in a good way. But 62% of Americans are overweight. About 44 million people are clinically obese. 34 million are considered at risk. And again, these stats change depending on who did them. And this is an interesting one, because a lot of people will lose weight, and their goal to lose weight is that they want to save money, because they're spending a lot of money on food. Other people have goals that they want to lose weight, is that they're just unhealthy. Some people want to look better. So I don't care what motivates you. I was like quoting the song by Alita Adams. I don't care how you get here, just get here. So we spend about $30 billion a year on weight loss, about $314 million on diet pills alone. So we're spending money to buy food. Then we're eating the food. Then we're having an emotional issue because we're overweight. And again, I used to be overweight. And then we're spending money to lose the weight. Think of how much money we're spending. And then, of course, the healthcare costs, which I'm not even incorporating into that. We're just putting in the vanity factors here. It becomes a big issue. And if you don't have the willpower, I'm trying to think of the right word, I don't know if willpower is right, to avoid bad foods, I'm going to teach you how to avoid those bad foods. It's really kind of cool. So let's talk about those things as we go through. So, a couple of things. If you're overweight, I always said this, if you're fat, you're not fat, you're toxic. And I want you to think about that. If you're fat, you're not fat, you're toxic. Because what's happening is, when you put bad food in your body, the body stores it as fat. And it's really hard to gain weight if you're eating all good foods. Now, there are certain foods that can help you gain weight. Number one question I get is, Doc, how do you lose weight? Number two question is, how do you gain weight? And if you're eating a lot of fatty foods, along with some carbohydrates, you can gain weight. So nuts, oils, these are all good. And there's a challenge that comes up, because people say to me, Dr. Joe, there's all these different diets. There's high carb, there's low carb, there's high fat, there's low fat. There's the ketogenic diet where you're eating mostly fat. And that doesn't make sense because, doc, you're eating all this fat and you're losing weight, but people do it. Why is that? Well, your body uses glucose as fuel. So any sugar you put in your body, fructose, glucose, lactose, if it's going to be used as a fuel, it has to be converted into glucose. Most of that conversion occurs in the liver. So if you're eating sugars, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, grains, even beans have some carbohydrates in them, your body's going to convert that into glucose and you'll use it as fuel. If you want to go on this ketogenic diet, the craze du jour, where you're eating about 70%, 60 to 70% of your calories or your intake as fat, how could you lose weight doing that? Because you then can't eat any glucose. Because your body needs fuel. And the body's going to use glucose as the first fuel because it's easy. And if there's no glucose around, it's going to start turning fat into ketones, and that'll help. Because ketones is a secondary fuel for the body. So if you're on a high-fat diet, you can lose weight. The problem is when you go on a high-fat diet but still eat some carbohydrates. Because the body's then using the carbohydrates as fuel, and then the fat is being stored as fat. If there's no carbohydrates around, the body's going to burn the fat. Make sense? So if you're going to do it, you got to do it all the way. Is it the Raspberries, right? Please, baby, go all the way. It's a song before most of you were born. Got to go all the way, baby. Because if you're eating a little carbs, then you're going to put on the weight. You're going to go, well, I did that ketogenic diet and it didn't work. Did you eat carbs? Yeah. Well, that's why. It's all or nothing when it comes to that. So you've got to be careful what you're putting in your body. And these fad diets, many times you can lose nutrients and not replace them. And that's the big concern I have. Because when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food. You're hungry for nutrition. And when I say nutrition, the best 4 foods can be fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. So if you satisfy the nutrition in your body, you're going to eat a whole lot less food. And that's the secret. I'm giving right up the front. I'm giving you the secret. Well, secret number 1. There's about 4 or 5 secrets I want to share with you to lose weight. So keep your body loaded with high-quality nutrients, and you're going to eat a lot less food. With me so far? All right. Let's go through some things that can make things worse. Stress. Anybody under stress? Raise your hands. We all are. Of course we are. Now, some stress is good. When it's chronic stress, that's when it becomes an issue. So what happens is you're under stress and your adrenal glands produce something called cortisol. Now, cortisol is released into your body and it's your stress hormone. And one of the things that cortisol does is it helps you store fat. Why would you want to store fat? Well, if your body's under stress, the body thinks that it may not get nutrients again, or it's going to be under attack for a long time. So it's not sure when it's going to get fed again. So cortisol is a great way to lay down fat. So the way this works is this. Your adrenal glands sit above your kidneys. They're about the size of a walnut, one on either side. And your adrenal glands produce something called pregnenolone. Pregnenolone becomes DHEA. This is what we call a pathway. Pregnenolone becomes DHEA. DHEA, if you're not under stress and functioning normally, becomes your sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. If you're under stress, that raw material, that DHEA, now doesn't produce as many hormones, but produces cortisol because you're under stress. The body's protecting itself. It's a survival mechanism. So if you're under chronic stress for a long time, what can happen is you keep producing this cortisol and you keep laying down fat. So one thing I want you to look at is my stress level. Now there's 3 types of stress: chemical, physical, and emotional. Physical is back pain, leg pain, hip pain, knee pain, ankle pain, headaches, numbness, tingling. Now if any of you have ever been in pain, or especially chronic pain patients, you realize how exhausting it is, how your brain gets foggy, just can't think straight, can't put your thoughts together. So chronic pain and even acute pain is an issue. So a couple of things we want to talk about with pain management and weight loss is that we want to get to the cause of your pain, not just treat the symptoms. Because one of the medications we can take if we're in pain is steroids. Anybody ever do that? Yeah, it's great anti-inflammatory. Problem is it shuts down your immune system, and so you can get sick. But steroids also cause you to do what? Put on weight. So the pills you're taking could be one of the reasons why you can't lose weight. Don't use that as an excuse. I've had a lot of people say, well, Dr. Joe, I'm on medication. That's why I'm fat. No, it's probably the ice cream sundaes you're eating every day that's making you fat. Medication ain't helping, but it's probably the ice cream sundaes. So start to think about that. Is it really just the medication? Am I eating fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds? Am I staying away from Dr. Joe's 7 deadly sins, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener? Am I getting motion in life? Am I drinking enough water, getting enough sleep? If that's the case, then the medication could be the key. But many times I've had patients come to our offices, because we do a lot of pain management here, and they say, well, Dr. Joe, it's my meds, and I look at their diet, and it's like, well, you can do some work on a diet too. So don't blow smoke up my skirt. I know what you're doing. So stress is a biggie, and if it's physical stress, well, of course, as chiropractors, my team of doctors and I are very good at helping relieve pain. If you need medication, absolutely, take the medication. If I have a headache, I'll take an aspirin. But then I'll come see one of my doctors and I'll say, hey, why do I have this headache? Let's check. Do I have a pinched nerve? Do I have a digestive issue? Did I eat monosodium glutamate? Was I exposed to aspartame? And we try to isolate the cause of the problem, not just treat the symptom. So that's pain stress, and that can cause you to put on weight. Chemical stress, of course, is food. Alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas are the big ones that you need to avoid. Those are the ones that are going to put on your weight. Eating more fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, very good. Taking supplements. I take supplements every single day, and I think you should too. If you knew what I knew, you would do what I do. There's no question about it. The more I learn, the more I realize I'm right. And after 33 years of practicing full-time, still do, I realized that everything I've based my life on was right. Because somebody said to me once, well, Dr. Joe, would you eat meat? And I don't eat meat. Would you eat meat if it turns out that was actually good for you? And my answer was, I'm open to considering that, yes. But all the information I have does not point to that. And over 33 years, I find more and more information that I'm right, not that I'm wrong. So meat stimulates the pleasure centers in your brain. You like it. You want to eat more. I used to eat meat. I know that. Eat a little meat. I like this. This is good stuff. And so that's why we like more and more. It's all about the brain and giving you pleasure. So there's chemical issues that can cause you to gain weight, of course, eating too much. And then there's digestive problems that can cause problems. Your stomach's job is to take proteins and break them into amino acids. And if the stomach is doing its job, well, let's talk about how digestion works. You eat food and you look at food and the digestive system starts to work. Then you eat food and it mixes it with saliva, salivary amylase, which breaks down carbohydrates. You swallow the food, it goes into your stomach, and the stomach's job is to break down proteins. It passes from your stomach into your small intestine, and your pancreas, right there, right at the gateway where the food passes into your small intestine, the pancreas has a little valve there, or a little tube, and it dumps digestive enzymes into the small intestine, amylase, protease, and lipase, which breaks down fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. So then you start breaking it down. Your gallbladder comes along. It squirts out a little bile, breaks down the fat some more. And then everybody's doing their job and they're happy. And you'll notice there's two places that things are getting broken down. The mouth breaks down carbohydrates, salivary amylase, and the pancreas. Your stomach and your pancreas break down proteins, and your gallbladder and your pancreas break down fat. So there's two places to break down each thing. So if you've had your gallbladder removed, well, guess what? You still have a second way to break down fats, your pancreas. Problem is, you're putting a major strain on your pancreas if you don't have your gallbladder. And the pancreas can become overworked. And that can lead to some real serious issues like pancreatic enzymatic insufficiencies. You're not producing enough enzymes from the pancreas to break down your foods. And that can lead to gas and bloating and diarrhea, constipation. And so many times in cases like that, I'll recommend people take some enzymes, digestive enzymes. From a food source, the best source of digestive enzymes is going to be raw food. Raw fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. As soon as you cook something above 110 degrees, you start to destroy the enzymes. So if you've had your gallbladder removed, if you have a pancreas problem, if you have dry mouth, if you have acid reflux, if you're getting older because you're not producing the enzymes like you used to, I recommend you do something raw at every meal. So that encompasses everyone, by the way. when I say raw, broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocados, because raw food is going to give you enzymes. Personally, I take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source because they're raw food supplements and they have active enzymes in them. So 1 scoop of Essential Source is about 10 servings of raw fruits and vegetables. Then we add prebiotics, probiotics, more digestive enzymes. So I would recommend everyone take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, including children. If they're eating solid foods, you can give them maybe a fourth of a serving of Super Greens and Essential Source. You can mix it up with some coconut milk or almond milk, and then maybe throw a frozen banana in there to whip it up into like a smoothie or an ice cream, and kids are more likely to eat it. And if you start kids off eating the right foods, their life is usually going to be a whole lot better. And I always say in this generation, you don't have to be smart, you just have to not be dumb. And a lot of the dumbing down of America comes from the chemicals that we're feeding the children. The candies, the cakes, the donuts. Oh, Johnny was good. Here's a lollipop. It's not really teaching Johnny good lessons, and when it comes to eating, it's actually teaching him bad things. So, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, everyone should take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. There's a caveat there. If you go to my website, I'll explain what that is. The website, you can order it there, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, and with the number 1 Dr. Joe on Google, and also available on Amazon if you have an Amazon account. But a lot of people report when they load up on fruits and vegetables and things like Super Greens and Essential Source, they eat less food. Because once again, when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition, and you're saving money because you're not eating as much food. And the Super Greens and Essential Source are relatively inexpensive, about $1 a day for each one. So anyway, those are on the website, drjoeesposito.com. If you'd like to make an appointment to come see us, we're chiropractors. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We would love the opportunity to become your doctors. We want to help you get to the cause of your problem, not just treat the symptom. So you can go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe and make an appointment right online. It's right on the front page of the website. We just changed it. Front page, first thing you see. Make an appointment, get Dr. Joe supplements, or sign up for the newsletter. All there. We accept people with all insurances, no insurances, car accidents, sports injuries, workers' comp. I've never seen a car damage where the occupants weren't. Ever. If you were ever in an accident and the car was damaged, you were hurt. And you need to come see us or somebody qualified that can determine if there are bones out of place and put them back in place. It can help with pain. It can help open up the nerves to the organs. And it can slow down, stop, and in some cases slightly reverse arthritis. Arthritis occurs from bones out of place rubbing up against each other. So if you're ready to get well, we're ready to have you as a patient. Go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, and you can make an appointment or call us. And again, offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. So we're going to continue on more about diets and why diets don't work, because you have to understand why you're fat to begin with. And like I said, I used to be fat. So this is another secret. This is a big one. Am I giving you all my secrets? Yeah, I guess I'll give you another secret. What the hell? Big secret to success. It takes 20 minutes for your stomach to tell your brain that you're full. Your stomach's job is to release a hormone called leptin. And leptin is released. It goes into the body, goes up into the brain, into the hypothalamus, and it tells the brain that you're full. But it takes about 20 minutes to get there. So when you're starving, you're ravenous, you can't, I'm so hungry, I just want to eat it. It hurts, I'm so hungry. What we normally do, myself included, is we wolf down all this food. And then we're stuffed. You ever do that? I was starving 5 minutes ago, and now I'm stuffed. It hurts so much I'm stuffed. That's because the leptin finally got to the brain. So here's my trick. Have a snack before every meal. When I say a snack, a handful of nuts, some berries, some fruits or vegetables, nuts and seeds, and wait 20 minutes, and then have your meal. You will be amazed how much less food that you eat at every meal, because you gave your brain a chance to get the message from the stomach that, hey, I'm full. I don't have to eat as much. So the snack is not the meal. Remember that. The snack is the snack to get you to the meal. And everyone I've ever taught this trick to is just thrilled. Dr. Joe, that's amazing. I was always told, don't eat before a meal. You'll ruin your appetite. My answer is yes, I want to ruin your appetite. That's my goal. I want you to be ruined so you don't eat as much food. You got to drink water, because we talked a little earlier about how your body is many times thirsty, not hungry. So before a meal, drink about 10, 12, 14 ounces of water and see how you feel. So you can have the snack and or do the water. And you'll be amazed how much less you eat. When you're eating a lot of cooked foods, refined foods, processed foods, that's not a lot of nutrition. So the brain says, yep, that's not what I wanted. I wanted nutrition, so I'm going to make you hungry again. So when you start eating more food, more quality food, there's a big difference. And I want to talk about hunger versus cravings before we go to the break. When you're hungry, you actually want food. And when you're hungry, you say, I want some food. When you're craving something. And it's usually a bad food. Very seldom do you crave pineapple. Do you crave romaine lettuce? Do you crave radishes? So when you're really hungry, there's difference, because if you're craving, I want chocolate, I want bread, I want toast, I want cake, cookies, donuts, pastas, biscuits. Those are cravings. That's not real hunger. So when you have a craving, give yourself a good, like Dr. Joe's Super Greens or Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Mix up, and you can have it more than once a day. Mix up a scoop of each with some coconut milk, shake it up in a jar, drink it, and watch how that craving goes away. If you do that and you're still hungry, then chances are you actually are hungry. So notice the difference. You have to make a conscious effort to understand the difference. When you do, you'll know what you really have. And if you're mixing a lot of different foods together, let's say Thanksgiving dinner, where you have just tons and tons of meats and dairies and breads and pastas and vegetables and cranberry sauces and sugars, that's not good either. Because your stomach and your digestive system is really good at digesting one thing at a time, maybe a few things mixed together. But the more combination you put together, the harder it is for your body to break it all down. Because one thing, like for example, meat might take 6 hours to get digested in your stomach. If you have a piece of fruit, 20 minutes. So if you're mixing a heavy protein with a very light carbohydrate, like a fruit, the fruit's going to be digested and go, all right, I'm ready to go to small intestine. And the body's like, nah, this meat has to get digested first, so let's hang on. And the carbohydrates will sit in your stomach for a long time, maybe up to 6 hours. And that sugar in an acid environment with heat can actually start to ferment. We don't want that. So putting dessert at the end of the meal is not a good idea. In fact, if you're going to have a meal, you should probably have just dessert. I'm not giving you permission to do that. Or just have a meal. But when you put a sweet at the end of the meal, it really messes with the digestive system. And if you have digestive problems, you probably want to avoid that at all costs. And we talked about the foods that are very stimulating. The meat, the sugar, the dairy, the chocolate. They stimulate the opiate receptor sites in your brain, and they get you high. And when you're getting high, you want more. And that's where those cravings come from. And many of you live meal to meal on cravings. Man, I just had cake and donuts and bread and meat and cheese, and oh, that was great. And then I had some chocolate. Oh, that was good. Well, sooner rather than later, you're hungry again. Well, you're not really hungry. You're craving. Remember, there's a difference. And so you want to eat the thing that got you high, and you'll do it again. And fast food is convenient and cheap. And so you go in there, you eat a burger with cheese, and you get high from it. And so you're thinking, man, that was great. Because eating is expensive, not just in food, but in time, in getting the food, storing the food, prepping the food. So fast food has really solved the cost, not necessarily the monetary cost, of the food, but at what cost? Your health. And that's where the problems come in. So think about that. And if I go out for fast food, maybe I'll have a burrito without the wrap. And I'll have beans and rice and guacamole and lettuce and tomatoes and pico de gallo and salsa. So you can make better choices when it comes to fast food. And when you do, you're not going to get those cravings. When I have a wrap with my burrito, that's a sugar, stimulates the dopamine receptor sites in my brain, like the nucleus accumbens, and I'm getting high. And baby, I want to get high. And so I like it. Leave the wrap off, and you're going to eat a lot less food. So those are just a few tricks. Got a lot more tricks to talk about. Now, folks, if you want to make an appointment to come see us, again, we're chiropractors, we would love the opportunity to help you get well and stay well. And if you have pain, pain is a warning sign. It's telling you something's wrong. If you ignore it, chances are it's going to get worse. And that's where the problem with pain comes in. If it lasts more than 3 days, you need treatment. So if you want to come see us, back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, whatever your health issue is, go to my website right now, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, and we will set you up a time to come in. We accept people with all insurances, no insurances, car accidents, sports injuries, workers' comp injuries, children, yes, children. And don't be one of those people that been sitting on their fanny for years going, you know, Dr. Joe, I've been listening to you for 10, 15, 20 years. I should make an appointment. Do it now. drjoeesposito.com. Google Dr. Joe. If you want to get our supplements, they're available on the website. They're also available on Amazon. We have an Amazon account as well. So, folks, got to go to a break. Tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Thanks so much for being here, folks. I do appreciate your time. And what we're talking about today is why diets don't work. And this is a biggie because so many people are on diets. And the big thing with diets is this: it's temporary. That's where the problem comes in. A diet, by definition, is something you're probably going to do short term. Long term is a lifestyle. And I wouldn't call it a diet necessarily. I'd call it a lifestyle. So I'd much rather see you have a lifestyle change than a diet, because that's where you're going to see your big changes. So we talked about earlier, if you're just tuning in, by the way, we take all our shows, in case I know people tune in at different times of the show, and sometimes they tune in a day later. You can always go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, and we have hundreds of hours of radio shows archived there. We also have videos. So if you're listening to a show and said, oh, I want more on that information, oh, I can't sit and listen, that's okay. I will be your knight in shining armor and save you. It's on the website, drjoeesposito.com. A lot of folks, when they're driving around, just go to the website and listen to the podcasts. We have videos. Don't watch the videos if you're driving. But some people are visual learners, and so we have videos of my live lectures. And come out to the live lectures. Check when I'm speaking, and if I'm in your area, I'd love to have you come out because they're a lot of fun. And we can show you things we can't show you on the radio because a lot of healthcare is physical, not chemical. There's physically things wrong. Maybe your stomach is pushed up against your diaphragm. We need to massage it down. Maybe you have pinched nerves. You need to put the bones back in place. There's 206 bones in your body. Any one of them can come out of place. So my doctors will adjust shoulders, elbows, knees, wrists, feet, ankles. Doesn't matter. And I'm always amazed when people say that. They said, I didn't know you can adjust a foot. And I said, why? And they said, I don't know. I just never thought about it. So you can adjust feet or ankle or skulls, as a matter of fact. You can adjust the skull. Several of my doctors are trained in cranial manipulation, and that's big. Because if you ever been hit in the head with a baseball, I know I was in a horrible car accident when I was about 10 or 11. I got hit by a car, landed on my head. They thought I was dead. They covered me up on a sheet. I moved. Obviously, I'm not dead. But that caused some cranial shifting in my body. So we're talking about the things that you need to do to help get this new lifestyle, to help lose weight. And a couple of secrets are you have to drink more water, because many times you're not hungry, you're thirsty, and that's going to solve that problem. You have to wait 20 minutes from the time you eat for it to get to your brain to make you feel full. So my trick that I do, because I don't struggle with weight anymore every day, I struggle with it every meal. Because I love food, and I've got to be careful what I eat. It's probably the reason I'm so passionate about all this and why I have so much information in my brain. I like food. I was laughing when people say I'm a foodie. Isn't everyone? Though we all ate. So you got to drink more water. You got to make sure that you feel full, eat slower or have a snack 20 minutes before your meal. And you'll be amazed how much less you eat. And you got to load up on nutrients. Because when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. And so things like Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, very important. Other supplements that I take, kind of going off on a tangent here, is I take omega-3 fatty acids every day. I take 1 gram every day. I take algae oil, because algae is the purest form of omega-3 fatty acids. Higher up on the food chain, you might see krill oil, K-R-I-L-L. That's pretty good. And then there's fish oil, which is my least favorite, because you run the risk of toxicity from mercury and other toxins, and you got to kill the fish. Now, krill, you got to kill the krill too. I guess you got to kill the algae. But krill there's so much krill in the world, and it replicates so quickly that from even an environmental standpoint, it's better to do krill. Algae, of course, is the best because it's like a plant, and that's the form I use, is the algae oil, 1 gram a day. I also, in the winter, take vitamin D3 because your body needs vitamin D3, not D2. D2 is the synthetic version, doesn't work as well. So vitamin D3 is better than vitamin D2, and I take about 5,000 international units a day. One of my doctors and I were talking the other day, and they said, well, this is confusing because vitamin D is measured in international units, and omega-3s are measured in grams, and there's some things in micrograms. And I said, yeah, I remember studying years ago, and that's a big issue, that there's no standard. Is it grams? Is it ounces? Is it micrograms, milligrams? There's different dosages measured in different things, so it's very confusing, and I don't know how to fix that one. I have a lot of answers for you. I don't have that one. So those are the two that I take along with Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source every single day. I was in a meeting with one of my coworkers the other day, and we were chatting, and we were talking about kids and, this generation, the millennials, and they're on their phone all the time and they're staring at the screens constantly. And she said, too, she goes, people like us in our early 40s, and I just smiled. Because eating well really keeps you looking young. And most people assume I'm about 15 years younger than I am, which is pretty cool. And I'll take that all day, every day. So we got to make sure we're eating the right foods and getting the nutrients in the body so that we feel full. Now, your digestive system's job is to draw the nutrients out of everything you eat and then eliminate the waste products as quickly as possible. Anything that interferes with that process is not good for you. So if you have low stomach acid, now as we get older, our stomach acid will drop. It's aging. Several things that happen when you age. One of them is our digestive enzymes and our stomach acids drop. Saliva, we don't produce as much saliva. So what can we do about that? We can enhance our abilities to digest food by taking things like enzymes. And you get enzymes, as we've said many times, from raw food. So every meal, I want you to have something raw. Broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocados, something raw at every meal. Stay away from the processed foods because we as humans don't know, our innate intelligence doesn't know what processed foods are because they're relatively new to our existence. Even in the 80s, we had some, before the 80s was a big turning point for diet. We didn't have all the hydrogenated oils. We didn't have the monosodium glutamates being used as much as they are now. We didn't have as many packaged foods. We didn't have as much fast food. And we didn't have genetically modified foods. We didn't have all the pesticides that we use today. The soil was richer and had more nutrients. So we really are depleting the soil's nutrients very, very quickly. And it's not good for the future, but the good news is this. If you listen to TV or radio, hope you listen to radio a lot, of course, you're going to hear things like, our products don't have any GMOs in it. Now, a lot of people don't know what GMOs are, genetically modified organisms. Why would major grocery store chains, why would major food manufacturers be saying no GMOs? Because you, the public, have demanded it. And some people get upset over that. Well, I'm a farmer and I grow GMOs. Well, okay, I don't agree with you, but you have every right to disagree with me. But the facts are pretty clear. There's no question about it, that the more research we're doing on GMOs, the more dangerous they are. And I believe it's like Pandora's box. We've opened Pandora's box and we can't close it. They're here to stay. They're even making genetically modified salmon now. I was in a store the other day and they were giving out samples of salmon. And this monster salmon was sitting there. Gosh, it looked like a tuna fish. And I said to the lady, I said, wow, that's a big salmon. I said, I bet you that's genetically modified. And she looks at me, she goes, it is. She goes, and believe me, it kills me to have to serve this, but it's my job. So we've genetically modified animals now, and that's scary because it's not the same as the original. Yeah, some studies, it's exactly the same. If it's exactly the same, then label everything GMO. Oh, we can't do that because people won't buy it. Well, why? If it's exactly the same, I don't get that argument. So I'm not happy with that. And those are things we're finding now can also put on weight. So look at the foods that can cause allergies as well, because certain foods can cause swelling in your body. And if you get swelling in your body, that can cause you feel like you're putting on weight. And the number one food allergen is dairy products. The number two food allergen is wheat. So I had somebody, I have this all the time, but somebody came in the other day, one of our patients, and they said, Dr. Joe, I listen to you all the time. I think you're a genius. You're the smartest man I've ever met, but it's so hard to do what you're saying. So they said, I listened to what you said and pick one thing. And they picked wheat. And they gave up the wheat and they said, oh my gosh, sinuses cleared up almost instantly. I was amazed. Dairy, same thing. So if you have to pick, people say, what's the worst? The worst is artificial sweetener. You got to cut out the artificial sweetener because that too, studies have shown, can cause you to gain weight. So you got to cut out the artificial sweetener, number one, and that's toxic. It's dangerous. It's a neurotoxin. You got to cut those out. Stevia is okay, but that's not artificial. Next food I would cut out would be dairy. See what happens. And here's my challenge to you. Cut out all your dairy, bread, cheese, butter, yogurt, ice cream, all your dairy. Eggs are not dairy, by the way. They don't come from cows. Cows don't lay eggs. And cut out all your dairy for a week. We'll make it simple, 1 week. See how you feel. Then I want you to have a bunch of dairy. See how you feel. Chances are I'm right. Of course I'm right. I've been doing this since before you were born, probably. So cut out the dairy, cut out the wheat, and watch what happens. And a lot of the bloating and a lot of the gas is going to start to go away. And you're going to say, Dr. Joe, I feel great. I'm fitting in those skinny jeans that I have, and it's amazing. But I weigh myself and I haven't lost any weight. Well, a lot of what you have is bloating, the gas in the colon just causing everything to blow up. And you cut out the foods that cause that, you're pretty much amazed as to what happens. Now, there's also other problems that cause you to gain weight that aren't food related. We talked about earlier about drugs being related, but what about chemicals, environmental chemicals? They're a thing called estrogen-like compounds. And estrogen-like compounds, xenoestrogen, xeno meaning foreign, like xenophobia, fear of foreigners. Xenoestrogen is something that can cause your body to essentially act like it has estrogen in it, and estrogen causes you to lay down fat. And fat then produces estrogen, which then causes you to lay down fat. Follow? So if you're doing things like perfumes, hairsprays, any unnatural scents, something that doesn't occur in nature, plastics, vinyl, new car smell, carpet cleaners, air fresheners, all these things are xenoestrogens and can actually be contributing to your weight gain. Wouldn't that stink that the little thing you plug in the wall that makes your air fresh can actually be causing you to put on some weight? It's probably not the reason you're overweight, but it's contributing to it. So we got to get those estrogen-like compounds out of there because it's putting on the weight. Now think about this. What do we feed cows and pigs and chickens to make them fat? Corn. So corn has high fructose corn syrup in it. That's where it comes from. So high fructose corn syrup is something you need to avoid. So here's my rule on food when it comes to packaging. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. It's just that simple. And it shouldn't have a package anyway because it's not a fresh food then. But if it has a package, read the ingredients. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it because chances are it's not going to be good for you. The other thing we have to do is make sure we're breathing. Got to deep breaths. Oxygen is needed to burn fat. Just like oxygen is needed to burn a fire, you need oxygen to burn fat. Got to drink your water. Got to eat your raw vegetables. Got to take your supplements. These are things that are going to help you not only lose weight, but get well and get healthy. Because I tell patients when they come in, almost every patient, can't remember anything I haven't told. So listen, my goal is not get you out of pain. Again, we're chiropractors. My team of doctors and I are chiropractors. Now, we work very closely with medical doctors. Just yesterday, my one doctor walked into my office. He says, this patient got in a car accident, hit their head. We gave him an adjustment. They came in today. They still got a headache. What do? I said, send them to a neurosurgeon, or a neurologist, actually, first. Let's get him to a neurologist right away. Don't discontinue chiropractic care, but let's get him out to a neurologist for an evaluation. Make sure there's no bleeding in the skull. And so we sent him out, and hopefully we'll get a report real soon, and everything hopefully is good. But I love to co-manage cases because I can't do everything. And a neurologist can't do everything. And an orthopedic surgeon can't do everything. And a physical therapist can't do everything. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, a colleague, actually a coworker, and he was saying that he's been going to chiropractor since he was a kid. And he remembers when he was a kid, there was a chiropractor and a medical doctor in the same office. Now, that was unheard of, 30 years ago. Now it's extremely common. And he said it was great because the medical doctor would check out a patient and say, you know what, you need to go see the chiropractor. And the chiropractor would check out a patient and say, you know what, you need to go see Dr. Bob, whatever, and you need some medicine. And so the trend in healthcare is definitely going integration, which I'm happy with. Because I can't do certain things, surgeons can't do certain things, pharmacists can't do certain things. And so it's kind of nice to see that. But you need to take control of your own health because all this goodness that's happening in the world with healthcare is that it's becoming less accessible. More and more doctors dropping out of practice, less doctors are coming up. I was talking to somebody the other day and they said the problem is they work in a hospital. Our older experienced doctors are retiring and we don't have people to mentor the younger doctors. So they're coming out of school laden with debt, $200,000, $300,000 in debt. Their main concern is pay off their loans, not see patients. And so the trend in healthcare now is you got these young doctors, nothing wrong being a young doctor, but they may not have the experience. And it's nice to have somebody around with a few miles under their belt to help you out. So you need to take control of your own health is the bottom line, because it may not be there for you in the future. So folks, if you want to make an appointment to come see us, we would love to be your doctors. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. Go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, and just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world, and we will set you up a time to come in. We accept people with all insurances, no insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. We'll evaluate your case, determine if we think you're a candidate for our treatment. And if you are, we'll tell you. If you're not, we'll tell you that too. And we'll put together a protocol or a plan. Many of you have health insurance, but you don't have a health plan. My plan is fix the nervous system, the digestive system, and your diet. And if we can do those three things, chances are you're going to be really happy. So if you want to make an appointment for you, your friends, your family, I'm talking to you right now. Get off your fanny and do it. Because whenever I say this on the air, patients come in the following week and they say, Dr. Joe, you were right. I've been sitting on my fanny for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and I've been meaning to come see you guys. And they come in, and most of the time, they're extremely happy. So go to my website, make your appointment, bring your kids, bring your family, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world, and we'll get you set up. We accept all insurances, no insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. It's extremely affordable to get well. And it's a whole lot cheaper to get well than it is to get sick. And that's all on the website, drjoeesposito.com. So there's a couple other things I want to talk about. We still have a few more minutes here. What happened to my time? Oops, there we go. We have a few more things we want to talk about. And so there's a biochemical stress. Sorry about that. I just dropped the timer just shut off for a second. That's why I was stuttering there. Lack of exercise can cause problems, and that can cause you to gain weight. So you got to get moving. The other day was a blast. I went to a place that they had these trampolines. And me and one of my friends were the only two adults out there. It was all kids. And it hurt me, not physically, but I saw all the parents sitting around the side of these trampoline park, which is it's a place, an indoor place. And all the parents are sitting around on their phones, watching TV, talking, while the kids are jumping around. And I thought, for $11, folks, you can be out here jumping with them for an hour. And I had a blast, jumping up and down and just running up the hills, and it was just so much fun. But the reason I bring that up is that when you jump up and down on a trampoline, it stimulates what's called your lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system filters out viruses, germs, bacteria, filters out junk from your body. And it's important to keep the lymphatic system strong and healthy. And bouncing on a trampoline is great for that. And I have to say, right after that, I felt awesome. I was sore as heck because I used muscles I hadn't used in a couple hundred years, but I felt great. So getting out and moving, whether it's walking or jumping on a trampoline, and you know what? If you're bedridden, move your arms, move your legs. If you're in a wheelchair, lift cans of soup with your arms. Keep the body in motion the best you possibly can. If you have a hiatal hernia, if you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, that's a problem because you're not digesting your food properly. So if you have any of those symptoms, I would suggest you come see us and we'll see if there's something we might be able to help. Because many times we can manually massage or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. This is physical medicine. It's also called functional medicine. But this is physical medicine that is now making a comeback. It was really big for a while. Doctors would actually treat patients. Then we kind of got away from that. Now it's starting to come back, which makes me excited. So if you have that issue, if you go to my website, in fact, if you go to my art, it's blogs, and then Dr. Joe's article is under the blogs link. Blogs. And you can read the article. I think it's the 6th one down on gastroesophageal reflux disease. And it talks about the technique that my doctors and I do in the office to pull the stomach away from the diaphragm. Very effective. And I know when I'm ravenous and I just can't stop eating and my stomach hurts and I want to keep eating, I'm thinking, what the heck is wrong with me? Anybody else do that aside from me? What I find, it's my stomach pushing up against my diaphragm. As soon as my stomach is pulled down, within minutes, I feel better. And the acid reflux is dangerous. Unfortunately, one of my coworkers was just diagnosed with esophageal cancer. It could be from acid reflux. And many times it's a physical problem, not a chemical problem. And I'm not against taking drugs, but understand the side effects. If you're taking these drugs that shut down your stomach acid, they can lead to things like calcium, magnesium, vitamin B6 deficiencies. You're not absorbing your vitamins properly and your nutrients. So if you have the acid reflux, it's a good idea to get to the cause. The brain also relies on the stomach to produce neurotransmitters. So if you have anxiety, depression, bipolar, suicidal, many times I find we find, my team of doctors, we find a digestive component that's never been diagnosed. And when you get the digestive component fixed, many times that solves a lot of the emotional issues. So if you have somebody with emotional issues, chances are they don't have good digestion, they have acid reflux or heartburn, they're ticklish, they're protecting their digestive system, they have gas and bloating. So if you fix the digestive system, it communicates with the brain. And I know I've done a show on that not long ago. So if you go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, you have a link to my radio and my TV, my radio and my videos that are on the website through YouTube. Or just go right to YouTube. And you could watch and listen to a lot of shows there. And you can look up topics that may interest you. And I know we've done one in the brain and the gut and the connection there. So we've got to be careful with the foods we eat. Let's talk about, as we start to wrap up here, some of the foods that may be helpful for you. Cinnamon. Cinnamon can help stabilize your blood sugar. A little trick a lot of people do, myself included, is I'll add a little bit of cinnamon, about a half a teaspoon, to my Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Because once again, when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. And the Super Greens, the Essential Source, are just super concentrated, high-packed, is that a word? Supplements that give you a ton of nutrition, relatively inexpensive, taste great, by the way, and they're powders. And you can add a little bit of cinnamon to it, put it in a jar and shake it up with some coconut milk or almond milk, and it helps. Works great, too, with diabetics. Now, don't come off your medication, but if you start doing cinnamon, many times that helps stabilize the blood sugar. If you're going to eat animal products, which I don't recommend you do, eggs can certainly make you feel full, but make sure you're doing organic eggs so you don't get all what the animals would have eaten, the steroids and the hormones and the pesticides. Well, you can't do steroids and hormones to chickens, but you can do antibiotics. So, chia seeds. Chia seeds are great. They're anti-inflammatory. They're loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, but those omega-3 fatty acids have to be converted into a different form. So they're good, and they're very filling, and they help your bowels move. So if you take about a teaspoon of chia seeds, mix it up with some, even tea, just make yourself a nice herbal tea, throw in a teaspoon or two, a tablespoon maybe, of chia seeds, let it soak, and they swell up. It's kind of this slimy glob that it creates. Yum. They really taste pretty good. And drink that every day. You'll be amazed how much better your bowels work and how that can help you actually start to lose weight. A lot of people, their bowels are impacted, and you have up to 10 to 15 pounds of undigested rotten food in your colon. So when you start doing things like chia seeds, getting chiropractic care, because the nerves in the low back control the bowels, and many times when you adjust somebody for low back pain, it opens up the nerves to the bowels. And nerves control everything. Your heart, your lungs, your liver, your spleen, your kidneys, your gallbladder, everything has a nerve going to it. So people think of chiropractic care as just being for pain, but it's also for getting the nerves working properly, and it helps prevent the spine from wearing out. If bones are lined up, they don't wear out as quickly. So there's a lot of benefits to chiropractic care, and here's a link that it can actually help you lose weight because it helps the bowels work. It's something you might want to consider. Ginger is great. That's really what we call the universal remedy. It's anti-inflammatory, it's anti-hypertensive, it helps people with blood pressure many times, glucose sensitizing and stimulating effects on the gastrointestinal tract, so it'll get your bowels moving. It can help you utilize sugar more efficiently. What I do is I take organic ginger, peel it, and then I put it in a food processor, cover it about halfway with lemon juice, and puree the heck out of it until it's the consistency of like tomato puree. And then I pour it in an ice cube tray and freeze it. And every day in the winter, I wake up in the morning, go to my freezer, take out an ice cube, throw it in some hot water, add a little stevia as a sweetener, and the first thing I have in the morning is my ginger tea in the winter. Then I have Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, then my other supplements. Then I'll start eating my food for the day. But something raw at every meal, that's really important too. And that's going to help the body work more efficiently and help increase your metabolism. And the last thing before I go is hot peppers. Hot peppers increase your metabolism because they increase your circulation. So add some hot peppers to your diet. I think you'll be really happy with that. So folks, if you want to make an appointment, we would love the opportunity to be your doctors. We're chiropractors. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We work on the nervous system, the digestive system, your diet. We really go deep into getting to the cause of your problem and not just treating the symptoms. People say, well, doc, can you guarantee I can help you? No, I can't guarantee you. Can you get me off my medicine? I can't get you off your medicine, but I can get you well so you don't need the medicine in most cases. That's our goal. So go to the website right now, make your appointment for you, your friends, your family, your children. Get off your fanny. So many people say, I've been meaning to do this. Today's the day you're going to do it. drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, #1 Dr. Joe in the world. We accept people with all insurances, no insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. Again, I've never seen a car damaged where the occupants weren't. So stop suffering needlessly. Make the move. Most people are extremely happy that they did. And once again, one more time, drjoeesposito.com, just Google Dr. Joe. Hey, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.